Hello, I am Mikey Boyle, and for our group Social Justice Project, we did ours on the family and single life, and basically the Catholic Church's opinions on family and married life from the people within the church.
Hi, my name is Nicholas Shuey. I grew up Catholic, and my parents are divorced, and my mom got remarried.
Hi, my name is Victoria Akinwande. I grew up Protestant in the Church of the Disciples of Christ, but I am agnostic, and my parents are divorced and have not been remarried.
Hi, my name is Gwyneth Hansen. I'm the only Catholic in my immediate family, and my parents are still together.
79% or 8 in 10 Catholic mothers and fathers are married, and fewer than 1% of Catholic parents surveyed are widowed. 76% of married Catholic parents have a Catholic spouse, and only 3% of parents are single and have never been married. 13% of Catholic parents surveyed are single and living with a partner of the opposite sex. 4% are divorced and 1% are separated. What do you guys think the church's opinion is on this?
I think that the church really wishes that things could, be at a more biblical and holistic approach for these statistics. It's obviously not ideal for the church, but I guess sometimes these things do happen.
I also think that even though the church does have the view that you shouldn't divorce, there's going to be divorces anyway, and you can't really stop divorce.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the times, think about it sometimes, an individual might be in a relationship with someone who is abusive. In that situation, then divorce is probably pretty necessary in order to protect their safety and well-being and the well-being of their children. So divorce is something that happens sometimes to protect safety of individuals, and that's something that at some times just can't be done away with.
Are you Catholic?
Yes, I am.
What's your relationship status?
I'm single.
Okay. Name a time you felt content with your relationships in life.
Name a time.
Yes.
I would say right now, I would say my focus right now on my relationships is with my family and friends, but I also am aware of feeling called to the vocation of marriage, so I am dating and seeking that out too.
Okay. Have you ever felt pressure to abide by your Catholic traditions?
I don't look at it as feeling pressured. There are times when in the past I have looked at certain teachings of the Catholic Church and just wondered more about it, but never felt a certain pressure. So it just leads me to look into it more, pray about it, ask people that I trust who are really strong in their Catholic faith, and ask them why teachings are the way that they are, and then try to pray about it and grow into my understanding of it.
Thank you. Do you know anyone who is Catholic and divorced?
Yes, I do.
Do you know any Catholic couples without kids?
Yes, I do.
And can you explain or give an example of how your own upbringing, i.e., parents' relationship or anything else, how it's affected your own?
Yes, I think their model of marriage, they've been together for 41 years, has definitely shaped what I am looking for in my life, and they have established a relationship that has modeled going through the joys and struggles of life being centered on their faith. They haven't necessarily hid any of their struggles or made it seem like it was a perfect relationship, but just talk about how their centeredness on faith has guided them through the good and the bad.
The main takeaway from Clee's video that you just watched would be that the church does what it needs to keep everyone together as a family, because that's what the church is, a family. And even though some people are not always even though some people not like each other, we need to be nice to each other.
Problems within marriage in the Catholic Church is annulment. 84% of divorced Catholics never sought an annulment. 8% was never granted one. 7% received an annulment, and overall, there's a big problem with not receiving them.
After researching the opinions of Pope Francis, he says that marriage is the most beautiful thing God created. He also says that a married couple reflects God's love and his image because they become one flesh, but this image of God is soiled through divorce. So, Pope Francis furthermore says everything should be done to save a marriage, and he offered advice to spouses: argue as much as you want, but don't let the day end without making peace.
Wait, so how do you go about the process of getting an annulment?
Well, there are several steps involved. First, the person who wants an annulment has to ask for a declaration of annulment. This person then provides another list of different people who are familiar with them and their spouse's marriage, who can basically testify before the church that they meet the grounds for an annulment within the church. And then there is a representative for the church that actually is called the defender of the bond, that will argue for the validity of the marriage. So this person is probably usually a priest, will offer testimony that the marriage should not be annulled.
Are you Catholic?
Yes.
What is your relationship status?
Married to my wife Kathy, and we have 3 sons.
All right. Name a time you felt content with your relationships in life.
So I'm content now with my marriage, but I would like to. It's harder now to find friends and maintain relationships with friends, is raising kids and working and doing all that.
Okay.
And since people have moved across the country and
Elaborate. What makes it hard?
it's just hard to find the time to get together, to meet up, and a time when everyone's together.
Do you think this is because your children are young, or is it just because children in general?
I don't think it's the children. I think it's where we are in life. We've
Okay.
all moved away. None of us are in the same city anymore. So and it's harder to meet new friends and have the same relationship with those friends that I've had with friends from the past. If that makes sense. Like my college friends are totally different than like work friends.
Have you ever felt pressure to abide by Catholic traditions?
Yes, I feel that pressure, but it's a good pressure. I think it's a pressure that I put on myself because I do want to abide by church teachings as much as possible, and I think they're good for me. And it's a 2,000-year-old tradition. It goes back. It's in Latin mostly, and I'm a Latin nerd, so I can't help myself in that regard.
So it's just a compulsion, is what you're saying.
Yeah, but it's one I put on myself, and my wife and I are trying to grow towards.
Okay, so what you're saying is that you do feel the pressure, but not in a negative sense.
Right, it is not a negative pressure. The question sounded a little bit negative, and I don't want it to sound negative.
Do you know anybody, or is anybody in your life both Catholic and divorced?
No, I cannot think of someone right now.
Do you know people in Catholic relationships that either do not have children or are not planning to have children?
No, actually, I think all of our close friends have like 3 kids already. Some of my pledge brothers maybe, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not really sure where he stands, but otherwise, yeah.
And going back to your personal relationship, how has your upbringing affected your own relationships? Like your parents' relationship. How do you think that has affected your own and how they viewed things, and then from there, how has your perspective been formed from theirs?
Okay. I think I've taken a lot from my parents.
Financially, yes.
Well, yes, absolutely. Parents' relationship, they've had a great relationship, and there's not really. We've been lucky. My parents really haven't had any troubles, I guess, as the Irish call it, troubles. We've been lucky in that regard. Same with grandparents.
Catholic teaching does state that you are called to have children if you are married, but also being single or not in a relationship, for more appropriate terms, is also a call.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And there's both sides of things, and I think that like even being single with children can be a calling. I think it's better within marriage.
My takeaway from the interview with Magister Strife was that he is a very religious person and a very religiously orientated man, and to where he associates himself with those that have similar interests, to where his fraternity brothers from Wabash and his friends that he's made through the Catholic faith have all kind of pressured him into participating in the Catholic doctrines more, but he went on to describe this pressure as not a bad pressure, like a peer pressure, but more of a helpful pressure, a positive, like, hey, let's all do this together because it's good. And to where the Catholic faith has really helped him create closer bonds with not only his friends, but also his family and just his own personal relationship.
My takeaway is that just because you are a divorced parent, a single parent, or same-sex parents does not mean that you cannot be Catholic.
My takeaway from this project is that I learned that the Catholic Church believes that divorce should be avoided at all costs.
My main takeaway from the interview with Magister was that the Catholic faith helps people build stronger relationships with both inside their own family and with others.
That, though, by promoting unity more within the Catholic Church, and also promoting the idea of annulment and making that easier for married families who want to become divorced to access.
Problem that we have mainly notified here is a problem of misinformation and about a lot of things regarding family and single living. And the best way that we can combat said problem is through in theology classes, teaching us more about the kind of what the church wants us to learn about these topics, and also just through more, conversation about it, even though it's something we don't really want to talk about, like kind of love lives. It's something that people need to be more open about.
The Catholic Church has a variety of families and people in its community. Its diverse group of married women and men supports the Catholic Church's idea that God loves us all. Cathedral High School teachers support God's calling and teaches students to embrace such plans for us all. No one is perfect, and our Catholic community believes this nonetheless. The Catholic married community's future, along with single people's future, is looking up, and as long as we stay true to God, we shall conquer all ups and downs involved. Thank you for listening to our presentation on the single and married life in the Catholic Church. Hopefully it's enlightened your mind and brings you closer to trusting the relationships in your life and God's call for you.